Hello, everybody. How you doing? Hope you're having a good time here. This very interesting New Year. It's been a very, it's been a long New Year. It's and everything else, but there's some good news in the horizon. Hope you're feeling good. By the way, me Dukect. I got JC 1986. Good dude who follows me on Blue Sky and on X, Twitter, or whatever that dumpster fire is. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Hopefully, the Dukect Lounge has a little bit of fun, a little bit of excitement. But we start off with something really interesting because the most big story of the WWE Netflix debut, the big story now they're saying had was 606,000, then it says like 3.5 million, all the ratings, everything else. But this is the one thing they're talking about, people. Hulk Hogan getting booed in WWE Netflix debut. Exactly right here. Nope, I don't do that. WWE flagship show Monday Night Raw made its much anticipated debut on Netflix. Well, Monday. Streaming live from the Inuit Dome, several former stars returned to give that show a WrestleMania feel. This is by Houston Michael, an assistant sports editor. After Paul, Triple H, Levesque, and talk opened the show with WWE's rich history, Dwayne The Rock Johnson came out to praise WWE and Netflix. Exactly. Netflix was praised so often the show felt like it was WWE's was Eddie Haskell and Netflix was Mrs. Cleaver. TV references. If Rowdy C was listening to this, he will get this. But yeah, John Cena returned to his first part as a farewell tour. It was announced this would be his last year as a wrestler. It says he has no path to win the title, which is hilarious to me. I'm like, dude, you're John Cena. You can walk into any company right now and you say, I want a world title match. We'll give you one. I think Hunter would give you one. Sean would give you one. Actually, They would. Tony Khan would say, "Fuck this Duff, I ain't gonna give him the world title." New Japan Pro Wrestling would do it. Conan Triple A Mexico would do it. CML would do it. There are so many companies right now that will just walk, see, they can walk in and get a world title. But maybe this is the story. He's feeling down. He hasn't won a match, and then he's like, "Hey, the Royal Rumble." So there it is. So yeah, and then you got Rhea Ripley won the world title match. You got the Undertaker. He's like, really, the only thing was missing was Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Steve Austin, Mick Foley to make the Attitude Era reunion complete. But there's one more name, a guy who helped pro wrestling reach new heights in the 80s and again in the 90s, part of the New Order. Then you had the opening of the Real American played. Out come Hulk Hogan with longtime manager Jimmy Hart. Poor Jimmy Hart. Poor Jimmy Hart. Man, the mouth of the South. One of the best managers. I'm going to say the 80s and 90s. Doesn't need to be this way, man. Gosh, I wish. I mean, aren't there some tag teams they can manage or some he can manage or some like a guest spot? Give me some. Jimmy Hart is a good manager and a good guy with the music too. Have him hire that stuff. He knows how to do that stuff, man. He doesn't need to be all next to this this the leech that is Hogan. You don't need to be that way, man. He doesn't need that way. He doesn't need that. But then here we are, Hogan. And then the immortal Hogan was first cheered and then booed. And then booed. That's what. And exactly, he was booed. He talked about how great the fans were, was booed. He talked about Randy Savage, Andre the Giant was booed. That was a new beer, and he was booed. He talked about how great Netflix was, he was booed. Even the flag and everything else. Yep. And then, here's the funny thing: during that whole time thing, after everything, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. They had to turn that thing down. It was like, remember Roman Reigns was like getting hated every day and everything. He was so mad. Everyone hated him. They had a little switch that happened, like during WrestleMania 32. Where the Romans got booed, and then it's like the sound just went off, like boo, and like boo, just not even bass, but just like the levels, the volume. It was like, shh, keep it down, lower and lower. That's what happened during the whole thing. And honestly, it's well deserved. And besides, here's the real reason why Hogan was probably booed. It wasn't about politics. Well, it probably was because he was probably, it could be a little bit of that. But also, his whole statement and gimmick has been terrible. I mean, his whole gimmick now, he was getting booed and booed out of buildings in the 90s when he was doing that same real American stuff back in the 90s till he turned heel. But I think the reason why is just he's just such that blatant old Kaji racist stuff that he never really apologized for. He apologized for getting caught. In fact, everything else, and the reason why, you look back here, Mark Henry, let's see, share this down here. Mark Henry knows exactly why Hogan was loudly booed on Netflix debut. He says, right here, TMZ asked W how he was surprised. He's like, he's not shocked at all because Hogan never tried to fix things as his racist tirade. He says, anytime that you consider Mount Rushmore in the top 10 wrestling of all time, Hogan is always going to be in that top 10. But right now, with the social climate and things that he has said and done, and his lack of effort to try to fix it, people are gonna come down on him. I never had an issue with him before I heard all that stuff. And even then, I believe in giving second chances. Anybody knows me that I'm a fix it person. I'm not going to dwell on the negative. I'm not going to talk about the past. We're going forward. And he never wanted to go forward and fix it. So that's what happens when you think everything's going to go away. It's not going to go away. He thinks it's going to go away. It's not going to be in that dark cloud of his career. You know, I often say, hey, let's do a tour of the black colleges and explain what happened. He never wanted to do that. There it is. He never wanted to fix things. He just sat back and just like waited on the cut. And that's the real truth. He never wanted to fix things. No one, yeah, JC. No one to say this thing. He couldn't save that thing. That thing could not save him. And by the way, being in California, didn't help things. Maybe if it was Memphis, Tennessee, because they're going to have a showdown in Memphis, Tennessee, maybe that could have helped. Maybe that could have helped him. Maybe that could have helped him. But right now, Hogan is never really apologized. He has never came and said, a mea culpa. Hogan has never had a mea culpa with this whole situation. And then it goes back to here. You have the Netflix being 2.6 million households and all that type of stuff. We just share this thing and look at how his stuff. But will it last over, internationally, 4.9 million, all this other stuff? Brandon Turston, everything's talking about the ratings. The question is, what will this last? But the problem is, looking at this stuff, but yet, here's the real issue. What are y'all talking about in the WWE and everything else? What are they talking about? Most of that debut. They're not talking about Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. They're not talking about Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. They're not talking about Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre. They didn't talk about Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. You know what they're talking about? Hulk Hogan getting booed. There has nothing. What does that tell you for your roster? What happened to your? What is the problem with the roster then? What does that tell you? Because the bloodline thing, it shows that maybe the bloodline thing has gone way too long, and they maybe have to stop doing it now. Maybe they need to stop looking at the bloodline stuff and maybe realize it's not as a big ratings winner as they think it is. Maybe they realize that the way they've been portraying these superstars, they haven't had a really big and a good one for a good long while. Because who's the next people up? Right now, it's like now Braun Breaker. What was he doing that Monday Night Raw? He was just sitting back in the crowd, not in a match or anything. Um, Tiffany, Tiffany, she won the SmackDown with Chapel. Is she fighting? Is she doing anything? No, she's in the crowd. The tag team champions, Naomi and Bianca Belair, are they going to do something? No, they're in the crowd. New Day, they're in the crowd, still doing a lot of these cameo stuff. They haven't wrestled. They haven't done anything. It just feels like they haven't really done much. It's just been they've just been on stagnant. They have been on, everything is stagnant. And quite honestly, WE, for the most part, it feels stagnant. The rosters feel stagnant. There's no one new. It is old people. Kevin Owens again. I like Kevin Owens. I like that stuff, but it's Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes again. Who is it's gonna? And then you have Kevin. There's gonna be Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes for the title, which okay, but against another old guy. Where are the youth? Where's the youth movement? I want to know where's the youth movement. Yeah. Yeah, JC. I mean, what the main talk is Hogan getting booed. And yeah, Gunther, he's not there. He had a promo. Where was Gunther? The world heavyweight champion, your prize champion. Nope, wasn't there. You think he would be there like a promo or a match, something to remind people that who he is. Maybe even looking at the whole like, hey, he looks at like say this Seth Rollins and Punk situation. This could be the number one contender for his championship. Build that up. What are you doing to not make this into an important thing? This is the problem. And I would say this, and look, meanwhile, let me see. And then, and to be fair and all that stuff, you have Max. And I gotta say, I'm enjoying some of that stuff. And looking at everything here. The Dynamite and the Collision simulcast, mostly good shows, very good shows. I kind of, again, the simulcast is going to be what going forward. I think could be probably the smartest thing Max has done in a while. AEW is doing, putting themselves in the such here, and after the really good show there, and then like I said, the way they really built up the stuff here was good. My one issue with AEW, I feel like that. I mean, there's stagnation there too. Trios championships haven't been seen or used. Um, I hope Rated FTR could take them. I think after that mock stuff and everything, have Pac cost them and everything, and have Rated FTR lean away and become trios champions. Then I think the crazy thing, I would love to see Powerhouse Hobbs win the title, but that's not going to happen. Um, but I still like there's a lot of stagnation. One thing I did like is the tag team division of going against the Hurt Business. They're building that stuff up. Um, Also, thinking of stuff that's being built up is the stuff with Tony Storm, and the women's division, and I hope that they do something about I wonder, because again, I'm liking it. I'm wondering when it is start slowly getting into that. Tony Storm does get that shot. I would not be surprised if she gets that shot next. Maybe. Oh, this could be very interesting. Not at Grand Slam, but at Revolution. Maybe they hold that off that for that. Let's see what else. Oh gosh, Kenny Omega being back, great. I loved it. But the issue with that is that he's going back to Don Callis. I'm like, no, not that. Ugh. And honestly, I don't know which vortex is worse, the Don Callis vortex or the Jericho vortex. Which one is worse? Hmm. Yeah. Which is worse, kids? Which is worse? But it looks like Osprey and Kenny might be having a, will they, won't they partnership, and hopefully they will, and they him, and I think this could be a story. Hopefully, they can move the stuff to Kyle Kyle can Kyle Fletcher to actually lead the Don Callis family, become that sort of thing. Jericho work is the worst. Yeah, and by the way, why rated FTR feuding with them and the Moxley? It's weird. It's weird. So weird. Anyway, my hope is that they start building stuff again, making like some concrete stuff, make things significant. Um, my hope is that they start doing that. Also, I mean, Von Erichs. Let me just see if I can get this right. Let's see if I can. There it is. Here we are. This tab. The Von Erichs signed to Ring of Honor and ROH, which is pretty cool. I'm happy, and hopefully they could come back and actually do something with the ROH Trios titles. I mean, by Ring of Honor, and hopefully this is the year that Ring of Honor will finally not be the second part. I want Ring of Honor to actually be more, not as an afterthought, but also have a separate roster and their own TV show. That's what I want. I want the AEW guys and Ring of Honor guys separate, but also you can have them come in. I love Holly Cameron, but I think she needs to stay there. Hopefully, when Bandito comes back 100%, he could come back. Part of me wishes he could stay in AEW though and build him up and such. Hologram, I don't know where you put him. I mean, I would love to see a Hologram back in the main roster because he's undefeated. So I think you can build Hologram up. I mean, he was undefeated, so maybe I feel like if he didn't have his ankle and such messed up, I think he would have been where Hobbs is right now. Personally, I think that's where he is. But Hobbs, like I said, deserves the spot too. I think Hobbs, personally, if I was doing it, he comes close but loses the title and such. You can have like Rated FTR comes in and beats up everybody. It looks like he's gonna do it. He's like gonna do it, but then Lance Archer comes in, takes him out. Pissed off because he lost the gauntlet stuff there. And you have a monster versus monster matches and such. Leading up to Revolution, with Hobbs going over and then winning, and then like really justifying his spot to face, you can lead up to him facing the Keston again. You know, you could do that, or you could have him go after John, or maybe go after Kenny Omega, or maybe John as like a personal thing, because I know it's like he could beat John Moxley. You could have him say, "I can beat John Moxley" after he loses the title. Hopefully around Grand Slam. I don't know who beats him for it, but maybe Omega, maybe Ospreay. Hell, I would say Jay White. That'd be really nice. But yeah, I think you have that, but have a true feud, a good feud, and such to actually do something. Also, Hangman, do something with him because he is the main character of AEW, and I want him to actually start building him up as well, and also Swerve. I want Swerve to, him and Ricochet can actually have that great big match. And then after that, man, there's a lot of people who actually could be legitimate world titles for AEW to take out Moxley. I want to see, maybe Swerve can do it. Maybe, you know, Swerve, Ospreay, Omega, Jay White. Let's see who else. There's four. I think there's like I said, Hangman needs a little bit of help to get him back into winning ways. Uh, I would put, like I said, I feel like Hologram was doing it if they really wanted to push him to that point and have him keep doing those great matches. So that's how you do it. But that's just me. That's my personal opinion. Because good Lord, it just there's a lot of I like the I like the original members of the Death Riders. I like Claudio. I like Pac. I like Moxley. I like Yuta in some situations and such. But man, this whole Maria. But I'm like, man, I want her. There should be much more. You understand? It should be better. The show should be better. You know, that's what I think. I wish that it could be better. That's what I feel like. It should be better. But yeah, sadly, uh, but at the end of the day, though, this is going to be the biggest thing. When this is the biggest story of wrestling this past week, what does that tell you? The health of pro wrestling when the only thing is most talked about is old wrinkly ass racist who won't actually you know go through the right way to not just apologize, but also just like come correct, say I made mistakes or whatever, and yet getting booed from the building. That's your big story in wrestling, not the stuff from Raw on Netflix, not the matches, not Kenny Omega's return, not all this other stuff. But this is the main thing. I think wrestling is I think it's a good place, but it can be better once we get rid of the toxic elements like this out of the world of wrestling. And maybe people are gonna be like, you know, maybe after everything else, we'll have a little bit better. But then it is WWE. That's WWE. There's a lot of monsters there. And and when the big guy comes back, it's gonna get even worse. But that's my personal opinion on this stuff. Leave something in the comment section below. All that good stuff here. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But anyway, we'll be right back. We're gonna be talking about yeah, takeover storylines are terrible. So, in that, I think hopefully, if Tony Khan somehow and all these other wrestling fans are listening, no more takeover storylines for like 5 or 6 years. Just uh, a, pause on that, a long pause. Um, less gimmick matches. I think maybe no more gimmick matches and such, and pulling this stuff. Maybe do that less and such. unless the story demands it and everything. And then we, focus on small and important stories and build them up and build people up for the next generation. That should be it. Ugh. Anyway, we'll be right back right after this, and we're going to be talking about some video games. Who doesn't love video games? As we talk about Ubisoft and the troubles of, oh goodness gracious, Assassin's Creed Shadows, a product that has gone through so much turmoil, and it looks like there's going to be a little bit more. We'll be right back right after this here live on the Dukect Lounge. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Thank you for listening to me, Dukect. We'll be right back right after this. Hey, can I get one of those things for the little salads? All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children and ladies, we are back here live as everyone here. I hope you have a good Thursday evening. And we are going to do a lovely little video game news. That's right, Assassin's Creed. You know, it is one of the most baffling franchises in a long while. I started playing this game series, and well, it got better. Some places got worse, but then you look at behind the scenes stuff and Ubisoft. I don't know what's going on with this company and the people around this company who have this type of negative type of just horrible stuff behind the scenes. And it looks like there's another issue here. Accused Ubisoft responds to actions of abuse at a Assassin's Creed Studios support studio. The publisher says it's deeply disturbed by reports of alleged and physical mental abuse at the Indonesian studio it outsourced work to. It's by Claire Lewis from GameSpot. Former employees of Brandoville Studios, an Indonesian support studio that worked on Assassin's Creed Shadows before closing its doors in August, recently stated they were subject to physical and mental abuse while working on the game. Now, Ubisoft has responded to their claims. We are deeply disturbed by the recent reports surrounding Brandoville Studios, a Ubisoft spokesperson told Eurogamer. When asked to comment on the controversy, we strongly condemn all forms of abuse, and our thoughts are with the affected employees. And we go right here. This is a reported by People Make Games. This is a video from first reported by People Make Games, a 50-minute YouTube video uploaded earlier this week. In the video form, Brandonville employees Christia Sydney alleges that she was subjected to various forms of abuse by Kwan Cherry Lee. Kwan Cherry Lai. Cherry Lai is the wife of Brandonville CEO Ken Lai and was responsible for overseeing Brandonville's daily operations while the studio was still open. It was Cherry Lai, according to Sydney, created a toxic work environment using gossip to alienate employees and manipulate employee schedules to an extreme degree. But the alleged misconduct didn't stop there. Sydney says Cherry Lai forced her to stay awake for days at a time, allowing her a few minutes of sleep over the 4 days leading up to the 2022 External Development Summit Conference. Sweeney also alleged that Cherry Lai forced her to engage in Christian religious practices to make her write lines as punishment. He even demanded Sydney to send over her daily work outfits for approval before coming to office. Quote, at 5:30 a.m., we need to wake up and then pray to God. And then at 6 a.m., we need to go do our exercise. And then at 8 a.m., shower. City said of Cherry Lai's desire to control employees' schedules. 9 a.m., be at the office. And then even what time do we need to drink water? She also put it in the schedule. Then what time to eat, what time to go to bed, that sort of thing. But according to Sydney, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Cheryl's behavior would eventually escalate to physical abuse. She said she was forced to film a video in which she slapped herself in the face 100 times as forced form of punishment and claims she was directed to slam her head into the door frame repeatedly before being forced to apologize for mistakes. The earliest record I have was a recording of me hitting myself in the mouth until it bled. And then she wanted me to take a picture of the blood in my mouth. Sydney shared in the People Make Games video. It includes chat logs, photos, and recorded footage backing up her claims. Sydney previously spoke out on her experiences in a 2021 interview with People Make Games. Says Lai forced her to film an apology video retracting her claims. Other former Brandonville employees have come forward with the record, come forward with reports of abuse as well. Cassian Balsier, who also worked in Brandonville while the studio was still operating, claims that Cherry Lai took large chunk of his paychecks, adding up to the equivalent of a month's salary when he tried to leave the studio. He was told he owed Lai money for a series of training programs. There was a problem, however. He hadn't engaged in any of the training programs that he was being charged for. Safia Afai, who worked at Brandoville from 2019 to 2024, claims she was overworked during her pregnancy and refused time off when her child died shortly after birth. After the studio was liquidated in 2024, Cherry and Ken Lai formed a new company, Lai Studios. Sydney was hired there as well, but left after another incident where Cherry pushed her over the edge. She was taunting me. She was challenging, basically. I thought to myself, she already doesn't have anyone else to work for her. I was quite literally the only person left with her, and she was still doing this to me. But this time around, I was like, you know what? I'm so tired. It's like 2 a.m. I should order a cab home. When she realized that I wasn't going back to her, she panicked. Sydney claims Cherry threatened her, but after years of abuse, Sydney was at her limit. She refused to return to position and began uh, sharing her story, providing videos, photos, and text messages to back up her claims, which led to her story being picked up by various news outlets and social media sites in Indonesia. Although Ubisoft has denounced Sherry Lies against allegations, Lie herself gave a bizarre response when contacted for comment by People Make Games. To me, my part of the story is not important as long as my team are good and safe now. Sherry Lie instead of the accusations. He refused to provide further comment. Employees who by People Make Games say that although CEO Ken Lai was not directly abusive toward him, he enabled his wife's conduct. At the time of writing, Ken Lai has not made any statements regarding on the alleged abuse his wife engaged in. Brandoville Studios employees also worked on Age of Empires, was it 6 during the time frame the alleged abuse took place, but Microsoft has not commented on the People Make Games video, nor has it addressed the allegations of abuse by Cherry Lai. This is horrible, and sadly, this is not really new in the world of gaming. These type of instances of abuse. We have to remember the you have to remember this is like we're recently, you know, we go right back to, you know, if you remember all these other things of, the let's see if I can get to the game here. Let's see if I can get the stuff to load up here. There we are. Uh, yeah, I mean, what about the Activision Blizzard scandal? If you remember what happened to all this other stuff, the frat boy culture. They just was constant sexual harassment, unequal pay, retaliation. These places were, unfit for other for people and such, and not even getting into the not just the sexual stuff, but also just uh, you know, crunch and such, that sort of stuff in video games, and look how these these like I said, these horrible crunch stuff here, the entire video game crunch and everything else. So these uh all these you have to remember this crunch culture that the video games have been on as well, to basically force the project whatever they're doing, and not really paying the going through these horrible, just causing, like, game development to go burnout and all these other stuff to overwork their developers and everything else. And there needs to be more protection for workers. And I honestly look at this stuff here and I'm horrified at this, like this culture of crunch and stuff like this, that is like it takes you know years and such to you finally get through all these put these allegations to light. And one of the main reasons why is because they're threat, like, if you try to go out and say we're gonna go and say all this stuff right now and everything else, they're threatened with jobs because they're not gonna get hired. They're like, this is the only thing they know. And the economy, even I don't know what the economy stuff in Indonesia, but it could be really bad. And they're like, this is the only place they have, and they're like, they have to swallow and say, this is you have to keep going. You have to keep going. You have to get going, and then it's just like you have to deal with it, and you have to carmelize. You have to put that like, okay, I push this back. Just keep going, and hopefully things will get better. And even if you do try to fight this stuff off, it's emotionally and physically draining. And there's nowhere else to really, there's no HR, there's no type of things you can talk to because they're the CEO, they're more often not. These are the people who have the most power in the situation, and there's no real consequence for these people to go to. And that to me is the most disturbing thing about this. And that is to me what needs to do, and mostly if they, and it has to be something to be done with the, not just with these companies, with the major stuff there who uses support studios like Ubisoft that needs to be look after these, but also it has to be in these local governments and local, if they're getting this type of situation, they need to go to like I said, go government officials or something to prove these stories, to prove it and say, go to police or whatever, and press charges and such and find like, hey, this is what happens. Here you go. And also, once that happens, there needs to be legitimate changes in this community. There needs to be legitimate changes of the gaming inside of it and such. And if not, I feel like Joe Liebman is saying if and such because if they come if you internally not going to fix this problem, then we will. And honestly, at this point, like what it had to do with the ratings board, and I think at that point, you know, maybe that's probably someone needs to do that, like an internal, like in government stuff, in that local, local government, but also maybe nationally, federally, and all this type of stuff, not just in Indonesia, but in the UK with the European Union, UK, or the European Union, or the United States, or whatever. There need to be better work protections of these workers. And right now, I don't know where that is going to be at this point. I don't see that happening anytime soon, and that's a damn shame. But my hope and a lot of it is that once this stuff gets out here, maybe there will be some type of push for these companies to get these internal changes and get these people who have these power mad strategies, get them out and fire them and just put them in like fire them and get them and put them away from these workers and such, and pay the people and not only apologize but also give them like huge severance packages, something to make sure that like the harm they do is no longer like affected by this, and also put in like stringent real policies, and not just in these smaller studios but also in these big studios. But Ubisoft, there's a lot of stuff Ubisoft has gone through and got away with. There needs to be harsh punishments, harsh consequences, harsh everything else, and they need to protect them, not just protect the people there, but also protect their families and everything else. But that's just my opinion, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. Comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff here. But man, I'm pissed off though, if you can tell, because I just think there has to be a lot of work to be done. There has to be a lot of work to be done to fix this issue. There needs to be work to be done, not just in the gaming space, but also local governments and around the local government, but also the gaming industry as a whole needs to be, there needs to be consequences, and there needs to be, real, uh, not just consequence, but also real systemic changes in the gaming industry to protect not just the, consumers from like all that stuff, uh, bad, how they do predatory lending and predatory, like, putting a half finished product or whatever, but also for developers and game testers, everyone working in the industry who's trying to make a good video game to make something beautiful and art, and they can make a living off of it, but also do not have them go through physical and emotional and spiritual abuse. Man, that was depressing. Yeah, that's why it is complete terrible, JC. Gosh, that is, man. Oh man, this is terrible, but I need to find something positive. I can't end the show like this. No, I am not ending the show like this because, man, I need something positive, something good to talk about. Something really positive because I think that you all need something like that. Because I need something that's just something positive, something really good, something that actually feels something something positive is going on. Let's see, something that actually there's something good coming up there. Let's see, something positive, something good. Because again, I don't know, because stupid Brave browser not doing anything for me. Let's see something over in Bing. See something. I need some good news to end the broadcast today, because Lord knows we need some good news. Let's see some good news here. Let's see. All right, let's see. All right. Da. Good news. Well, hmm. Oh, public drink slashes a heart disease risk. That's nice. That's good. But let's see something. Let's see. You know what? Let's see some good video game news. Let's see. Oh, here's something actually positive. Something actually positive that I think I could talk about here. Just get this thing loaded up. Do, 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 do. And here we go. Something that actually is true. Video games actually can be good for you. New study claims. It's like all the games with all this stuff. The good games won't rot your brain. More and more studies have shown that playing video games comes with their own sets of benefits, including improved coordination, better spatial recognition, and much more. And it actually might help your mental health. So, in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown, Japanese science found themselves with a bit of a natural experiment in their hands. Retailers have created a randomized lottery to fairly distribute Nintendo Switch consoles, and this lottery allowed the science to study the link between gaming and overall mental well-being. The study analyzed 97,602 responses from gamers between the ages of 10 and 69, according to the brighter side. According to the report, Nintendo Switch ownership uh, was linked with an improvement of mental health by 0.60 standard definition units, while the PlayStation 5 only increased mental health by 0.12 units. Ha! Nintendo's wins again. It sounds like medical jargon, but it boils down to this. There's noble effort on mental health when gaming, and this study suggests that Nintendo might have an edge in the category. It does help that Nintendo actually has video games. I mean, there's a ton of video games on Nintendo and PlayStation 5. There's only Spider Man. I'm sorry, that's it. And if you don't like Spider Man or all this stuff, well, I'm sorry, that's it. But anyway, other than that, oh, wait, you got Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So that's two. There's two. But Nintendo has so many fun games and everything else, and the study also revealed age of biology. Adolescent female participants felt a greater changes in mental health with the Nintendo Switch than the PlayStation 5. The researcher Hiroki Igami said, our findings challenge common stereotypes about gaming being harmful or merely providing temporary euphoria. We showed that gaming can improve mental health and life satisfaction across the board spectrum of individuals. This study that see there you go. Here's got some good news. So playing video games actually can help you right here. There's actually scientific proof they actually improve your mental health. So that's a problem. That is a positive way to end the show. Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? That's a positive way to end the show. And I think that's the end of the day. We're gonna end the show on that. Video games are actually good for you. And most importantly, get a Nintendo Switch. By the way, Xenoblade X trailer came out and I love it. Another video game you can play and it's all good. Uh, yeah, that's the whole thing there. But yeah, good for your mental health. So anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. Thank you for sticking with me, Duke CT, on this lovely Thursday evening. Peace and love. I will see y'all when I see y'all later. Peace.